Hello, my name is XONEVANT. Today is Sunday, August the 17th, and this is your Daily Dose. Alright guys, so this video is to kind of tell you guys what's been happening the last week and to kind of talk about opposition and the fact that it sucks, but you just kind of have to figure out a way to get around it because you can't stop. You can never stop pursuing whatever it is you're trying to get done in your life, whether it be creative or maybe something with your job or school or whatever. There's always going to be an opposing force, no matter what it is, standing in your way, and you just have to find a way to press through and continue to do what you love, and then kind of make it your own and just don't give up. So for the last week, I have been faced with tons of opposition. I mean, tons of opposition, and I think I may have figured out a way to get all around it all now, but it's been pretty tough to sit down and do a daily dose over the last week. So let's get into kind of what happened, and then we'll kind of get into where I feel like we're moving to with the daily dose. And it kind of all starts about a week ago. So I was up late at night, like I always am, doing work, and it was probably about 3:30 or 4 in the morning. And I have my headset on, watching YouTube videos, editing, rendering, stuff like that. And I hear a scream, and at first I was like, well, it's probably just a scream from outside. I mean, this is kind of a party type apartment complex, if you will, for the college kids. So I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to worry about it. It just sounds like it's coming from outside. And then a couple of seconds later I heard it again, and it was one of those screams that somebody's in trouble or danger, you know what I mean? It's one of those type screams. So I just pop out of my chair, run into the living room, and I still don't know exactly where the scream is coming from. And then I hear the scream again, and that's when I realized that the scream is actually not coming from outside. It's actually coming from inside of my apartment. And I'm not going to get into too many details here, but let's just say that there was an altercation between a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and I'm not going to get into the specifics, but long story short, I had to end up stepping in and breaking that up. Now this is a guy that I've only known for a couple of days. I mean, these are new roommates for me, so it's not like I've known these people for years. So basically I had to step into the middle of two strangers, the girl of which I had never met, in the middle of their altercation. And I finally was able to get the girl out of there, got her to safety, et cetera, et cetera. You guys know how that played out. Everything ended up being okay, and that sort of thing. So that's kind of when everything started. And then the next day, I was kind of in that mood of, a lot of things could have happened last night. Like, obviously the guy and the girl were intoxicated, and I don't drink myself, but I do know that depending on who you're dealing with when they're intoxicated, some people are very funny. Some people are just a blast to hang out with when they're intoxicated. But sometimes you get that angry drunk, you get that violent drunk. You just never know. And because I don't know these people, I got to thinking, I was like, man, anything could have happened last night. Like, I could have got stabbed. I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go through all those things in your brain, right? Now, obviously I'm fine. Nothing happened, but it could have. And it kind of freaked me out for the next day. So, everything kind of calmed down, and that night I said, you know what, I'll go back to work, and, I'll catch up on the daily dose. I'll just post 2 today, and, we'll be caught up and we'll be good to go. And, I started working, and maybe about 30 minutes into my work or whatever, I start hearing the door open. We have a little buzzer on our door, so that when people come in and out, you can hear. And I started hearing it go off like a bunch, and come to find out these guys were throwing a party. And I'm not talking about maybe like 1 or 2 friends over. I'm talking about like a ton of people over. And to the point where I couldn't do any work on the microphone because they were so loud. And I'm going to play you a little clip right now of kind of how loud it is. Now, what you're going to hear is me sitting in my office where I always sit when I do recordings. And obviously I'm in a room. And the only thing that's separating me from where these guys were is a door. Like, cause it's, where they were is the living room, and that's my office is right off of that room. And you're gonna hear how loud this is. And had I done commentary, you would have heard this in the background of the commentary. And I'm gonna let you hear this first, and then we'll talk about kind of what happened after that.
I'm taking a hit. I'm taking punches.
So what you're hearing there is kind of how loud it gets, and it's very hard to do commentary, A, because you're going to hear that in the background, B, I can't think with screaming going on. Like if I'm trying to talk about a topic with you guys or discussions, I have to have the room completely quiet so I can process what I'm trying to say. And so when you hear screaming and, you know, chairs breaking or whatever's going on in there, it's kind of hard to focus. So it's really hard to sit down and do a topic for you guys or a discussion for you guys with that going on. Now, since we got our third roommate, what I'm finding out is, because I'm learning everybody's schedule, this is what I've been doing for the last couple of years, guys. Even though I've been, you know, even though I've had roommates like 3 at a time, they have schedules, and there's always breaks in the schedule where they're all 3 not here, or they're asleep or something like that. And that's typically when I go to work, you know, because I'm a pretty respectful guy. Like I don't want to be loud while they're asleep. So I kind of just work around everybody else's schedule, and it's always worked out for me. But unfortunately, with these 3 roommates, with their schedules, it doesn't work out quite that way. There's one guy who, the 2 of the guys have like a pretty regular schedule, right? They go to school, they come home, that sort of thing. And then they're usually gone on the weekends, you know, partying or whatever, the friend's house. But the third roommate actually works at like 4 a.m. in the morning somewhere. And so he usually stays up all night and then goes to work. So what I'm finding is the only time that I can actually sit down and the whole house be quiet is between 4 a.m. and 11 a.m. That's it. That's the only time that I get, which is way less time than what it used to be. You know what I'm saying? I used to could work, you know, maybe between like 6, 7 at night, something like that, maybe 7 and 9 at night, and I could work all the way into the next day, like not the morning, but the day, like lunch or something like that. But it's just not working out that way this time. Now, on top of all of that, YouTube was giving me a ton of processing errors this past week. I Google searched it, and a lot of other people are having the same issue as well. A lot of people are speculating that YouTube is converting their media player over to a new media player, which can run 60 frames a second, and that's probably what's causing all the issues with processing. I don't know how true that is, but I know that it was taking like 8 to 10 hours sometimes for me to even get a video uploaded. But as soon as it hit that processing stage, it just failed. And so I was just basically wasting time. And then we had one morning of this past week where we had internet issues. So between that, noisy roommates, a whole new schedule, it's just been really tough for me to sit down and actually find time, you know, to do a show. I have put in a request to get a 2-bedroom place on my own, no roommates, which would be great. I'll have an office, you know, I'll have a studio, it'll be great, and I won't have to worry about any of this stuff. I think what people fail to realize when you're just watching YouTube videos is that, especially for people like me who YouTube is not their full-time job, you know, I just do this stuff for fun and kind of as a hobby. Well, I guess what viewers don't realize sometimes is that there's so many things that has to go right for videos to go up on channels. I mean, all your stuff has to work, right? Your computer has to work, your software has to work, your editing programs have to work. You know, for me, I have an extra added portion of that, I guess, where I have to have my graphical templates have to work, my hard drives have to work. You know what I mean? Like my studio mic has to work correctly, my audio recording software has to work correctly. There's so many things, and then when you add in the fact that I have 3 other people living with me, they have lives, they have friends coming over, you know what I mean? They're loud, that sort of thing. When you factor in all that stuff, internet has to work. All this stuff has to work. You know, my PlayStation 3 has to work. My PS4 has to work. All that stuff has to work correctly just for me to be able to get a video up. And if any one of those things goes down or is not working correctly, I can't produce a show. So it's crazy when you think about it that way, but getting back kind of to the title of the video, opposition sucks, man, but it's not going away, and you just kind of have to figure out a way to work around it, you know? So I'm just going to adjust my entire schedule so that I'm now waking up about 3 in the morning, give or take, instead of waking up at like, I used to wake up about 9 or 10 at night and work through. Now I'm just going to be waking up at like 3 or 4 and working through, and that should put me in the best possible spot to be able to get shows done for you guys. We're just gonna have to kind of take the bad with the good on this thing and see where it goes. But if you get some content coming up on the Daily Dose that's not topics, not discussions, not news, you know, it may just be gameplay only, and that's not because I'm trying to be lazy. It's just because based on what's going on in my life, I can't put commentary with it. You see what I mean? But it'll still be quality, like, you know, the graphics and all that stuff will be there. But you just kind of have to know that and, you know, compromise with me on that. And hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from. I'm going to give you the best possible Daily Dose show that I can give you every single day based on my circumstances. You know what I mean? If I can put commentary on it, there'll be commentary. You know what I mean? And that sort of thing. So hopefully you guys understand, and I apologize for, I think it's been almost a week or so since I've been able to post. But what I've done in the meantime with all this crazy stuff is I've just been editing and rendering a ton of these personal plays. All the Dark Souls 2 videos are up, scheduled to upload or scheduled to post for you guys. And I'm probably about a third of the way, or maybe about halfway through the Red Dead editing. So, you know, that's what I've been doing in the meantime, you know, because I don't want to stop working, but I just couldn't post the Daily Dose. So anyway, hopefully you guys are understanding of that. And, you know, if everything goes well, I'll see you guys right back here tomorrow, and you guys be good.